Why do I let this happen?
Hey everybody, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and you'll never guess what happened. While I was recording this video, I accidentally messed up my audio, and it's completely unusable. It's awful. So you know what I'm going to do is, now you're going to listen to me narrate this video. In turn, it's going to be a lot shorter because I can cut it down quite a bit more now. So good for your time, but also I'm sorry. I hope you still enjoy it. So you know how a month or two ago I went to a retro video game swap meet? If you don't know about that, you should definitely go back and watch that video because it was a lot of fun. Basically, I went to this swap meet and I traded some video games, I bought a bunch of retro stuff, I went to some game stores, and I did this kind of like retro haul video where I showed off everything that I got. And I also showed off a few press kits in that video as well that I got from developers and publishers. So basically, I haven't really been going out and spending money on a ton of video games, but a bunch of things that I ordered online finally came in, along with a few new press kits as well. So I thought it'd be fun to unbox all of it for you here on camera, instead of just me unboxing it in the corner of my room like a little troll or something like that. I also went to GDC last month as well, and I received a few gifts from some developers and publishers, and I guess just companies there as well. And there's one thing in particular, the thing that the thumbnail, the title of this video is all related to. I finally got in my Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the video game complete edition, collector's edition, the regular editions that I've ordered. All of that finally came in the mail. So we're going to check that out in this video as well. So without further ado, let's let post Zion take it away. And past Zion, I guess, as well. Do you think I have time to eat a pizza right now? What to open first? There's so much on the floor. You know, actually, this one thing in particular here, it has hurt me to keep this sealed for the whole month or 2 months that I've had this sitting on the shelf. This is the Bug Fables, the Everlasting Sapling Collector's Edition, I suppose, from Limited Run Games. If you've never heard of Bug Fables, this is basically a Paper Mario style RPG. I think it took me about 20 or 30 hours to complete, but there were a bunch of different side quests that I still need to go back to. And you basically play as these 3 different bugs that are trying to save their kingdom. And it's very whimsical and silly. And one of the main characters, V, which is the bee here, is super spunky and obsessed with rewards and money. And there's so much to love about this game. But there are a ton of really cool things in this collector's edition that I completely forgot about until I opened it up, which was a really nice surprise. There is a plush toy, or a stuffed animal, as I used to call them as a kid, of V. I really like this. I love the fact that she can actually like stand up on her own if you put her like on a table with her tail or stinger, whatever you would call that. The thing I didn't really care for though is how her antennae are kind of just like so floppy. I wish they had like some kind of wire inside of them so that way you could actually keep them straight up or position them however and make them just more faithful to the game. I also wish that like the tuft of hair or like fur or whatever like around her chest would be like a bit more fluffy. Otherwise, like I'm just really glad that I even have an officially licensed plush toy of V. I think that's still really cool. This also came with 3 like lapel pins, I think you'd call them, of the 3 main characters. And I love that the backs on each of them, the rubber backs, are colored like the actual characters in the game. I think that's just a really nice little detail they added. Also, I just want to say, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for still watching this, because I was so defeated when I found out that my audio for this was just completely wrecked. So if you're sticking with it this far, seriously, thank you so much. This collector's edition also came with a sort of papercraft diorama of one of the scenes in the game. Here is the physical copy of the video game, which I'm going to crack open right away. I do kind of wish that they used the artwork from the collector's edition front, which is like the main key art of the game. They instead kind of created this unique art for the cover. And I like it. I wish we got that regular Bug Fables cover instead. The inside also features like the leave kind of like transition that the game uses, which I really, really appreciated. It was kind of cool just to see that. And there's also like a full manual in here that talks about all of the different characters and how to play the game. I just like that Limited Run actually puts the effort into making a manual. It's good. This also came with a full soundtrack set, which is 3 discs and actually has like a huge case, which reminded me of like a PlayStation 1 3 or 4 disc game. I guess there were even some 1 disc PS1 games that used things like this, but we're not a PlayStation channel. Come on, Zion. There are also some trading cards in here, which At the time, I couldn't remember, but I think there's actually a trading card like game that you can play within Bug Fables, and I think it's inside of like a bar or a restaurant or something like that, or like a nightclub. And I don't really remember playing it myself, but I need to go back and check that out. So let me know if that is a thing. If that's a thing in Bug Fables and I need to go play it, please tell me. And that's about everything that came in the Bug Fables Collector's Edition. I think this retailed for like 70 or 80 bucks, and I'm pretty pleased with it. It's just really nice to actually have officially licensed Bug Fables merch. I'm not going to complain about that. But then I actually also received a 13 Sentinels press kit. So the first thing in here is actually just like a postcard that like advertises the game and like has some details about it on the back. So very good. I'm going to give that a couple slaps here. And then underneath this confetti, which was very pretty as well, thank you, is a Mecha Munchies 13 Sentinels drawstring bag. I was going to say cinch bag. Maybe that's the correct term as well. So all I know about this is that this set was supposed to be cooking themed. Now, I wasn't entirely sure what that meant until I opened it. But here, this is for like, I forget about the term. I'm even still in post. I'm fumbling about what this is called, but please let me know. It's a hot pad. Maybe that's what it is. And then here, this is an oven mitt. Look at me. I'm Arlo. And then this, I'm still torn on what this actually is. I can tell it's definitely like a towel of sorts, but it's huge, massive. If anyone knows like what the correct term for this is as well, let me know, because I would not call this a dish towel. It almost looks more like a tablecloth for like a one-person tiny table. But it's nice. Oh my gosh, and yes, it really is. I was hoping, after I knew this was cooking, I was hoping there'd be one in here. This is an apron. 13 Sentinels. I don't even know if there's like a big cooking aspect to this game. I haven't found one yet, but maybe there's one character that's a chef and I just don't know. But now I'm wearing this for the rest of the video. And here's another shot of the bag. But wait, that's not all. There's something else in the bottom of this box, and it has me super excited, if you can't tell, because look at it, it's beautiful. I can't tell if it's an art book. I don't know, maybe it's a copy of the game. Is it a collector's edition that I wasn't aware of? Oh, I totally should have known about this. Yes, of course. Of course, it makes so much sense. It's a cutting board. It's a 13 Sentinels cutting board. I don't cook really anything at all. So a lot of the stuff in this box was not really going to pertain to me, sadly. But my girlfriend is an excellent chef. And I do happen to use cutting boards. So this was very exciting for me. I use those on a regular basis, but I think she's going to get a lot of use out of this stuff around the house here. And that also makes just a very nice little backdrop piece. And I like the cover a lot. That art, Vanillaware's art is fantastic. So I also, as I mentioned before, in March, I went to GDC and I met a few different game developers and publishers. And I went to the Mix, which is the Media Indie Exchange. It's a big event where they let us play a bunch of different indie games. And this one developer was like, hey, you should have this game. He like pulled it out from behind a arcade cabinet and just gave it to me. And it's called Grand Mountain Adventure Wonderlands. And it basically looks like a snowboard version of Lonely Mountain Downhill, the BMX bike like downhill racing game that's kind of super relaxing. So this game kind of looks like that, but then I also met with Super Rare Games. I met Ryan, and Ryan gave me this game called Last Day of June and Monster Prom XXL, which I didn't have either of these digitally or physically, so I was stoked to have this. And I love Super Rare Games. They put a lot of effort into their physical games, kind of like Limited Run Games does. And I'm just glad that there's another developer out there like trying to put effort into making physical versions of indie games. Ryan also sent me home with this other thing, which is not Switch related, but it's called Super Rare Mixtape. I got volume 2. And basically what this is it's a physical like flash drive that's in the shape of a cassette tape. And on it, it has like 30 different like small like indie games that were never like made physical anywhere else. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to create like a physical version of all of these small games to kind of, so that way people can remember them for years and years. And also so we just have like another fun way to play them. And like I said, sadly, this only works on PC. It would be really sweet to see like them kind of take this same format and bring it over to Switch someday. you know, like maybe they could find developers that are making games through game jams that are compatible with Switch, and they could, you know, do something big for Switch. But I think it would be really hard for them to just pull the PC version. So that makes sense. But then also every game gets like its own page in this kind of big like manual book thing here to also commemorate it. I just think they're doing a great job with it. It was really nice of Ryan to give me this stuff too, because I was really excited to check this out. I also finally spent some of my hard-earned My Nintendo Platinum coins, and I got the Nintendo 64 cartridge keychain, which is what the US got for Nintendo Switch Online N64 promotional goods. You can see the different keychains. There's a Super Mario 64 one, an Ocarina of Time one, Mario Kart 64, and Star Fox 64, where in Europe, they actually got like full-sized posters that were representative of each of these games. It was like the PAL cover art for each game, I think. And I think these keychains are cool, but one thing that drove me bonkers is the fact that each keychain like has this remove plastic film label on the front of them here, and I think they make like they look really cool just in the package, but those labels just look awful, so I have to take those off. And honestly, this was way harder to get these off than I thought. It was a struggle to try and take these off. So if you have these, good luck trying to get this film off. But I think it looks way cooler. Like if you're just going to keep them on the shelf and not use them, which maybe someday I'll use them when I find the right opportunity. But for now, I just kind of want to keep them safe and looking good. I don't want them to break off when my keys go flying or something someday. Because I'm always throwing my keys around. You know me, that's that darn Xeon. He's always throwing his keys everywhere. Can't keep track of them. Always losing them. I swear to God, if I find his keys on the ground one more time. Also, while I was at GDC, I actually bumped into Warren Davis. I went to this talk that he did. And if you're not aware, Warren Davis is known as the creator and one of like the main programmers of Q*bert back in the day, the arcade version. I don't think he really worked on like any other versions really. There was one like harder Q*bert that he worked on, I think, but otherwise like most of the other Q*bert games he didn't really have a hand in. So I felt really bad like asking him to sign my my copy of Q*bert 3 on the Super Nintendo, but this was the first place I ever played Q*bert, and I've like definitely without this game I don't know if I ever would have actually like tried the arcade versions because like this was the version that I grew up with, and he was so nice to talk to, and he was really cool about signing this even though he really didn't have anything to do with the Super Nintendo version. I also bought a few games from somebody on Facebook recently. I got Cooking Mama 4 and Mario Kart 7, and in the moment here I had a miniature heart attack because I thought I already had Mario Kart 7, but I'm good. I don't have it, so those are great gets. I also completely forgot about this too. I got the Bug Fables, one of the Bug Fables trading cards that came from Limited Run Games. Now there are actually supposed to be 2 trading cards in the each game series. So I'm going to have to try and hunt down the second Bug Fables trading card at some point in my life. I don't know how I'm going to ever get that, but fingers crossed, I guess. I actually also just got my partner an apron for Christmas this past year, so I'm really glad that I have an apron of my own now. And like I said, I don't cook really anything, but now I at least can feel cool when she's wearing her apron in the kitchen. Even if I'm just hanging out doing the dishes, now I can wear my 13 Sentinels apron. Oh, and remember in the last video how I talked about I got a Super Nintendo Super Scope and a sensor? Well, I also just picked up the manual for Super Scope 6 so that way I can just learn a bit more about the game because I still want to do a video on all of the Super Scope games at some point. And you may, if you caught that last video, also remember that I got a U-Draw tablet for the Wii for $1 US American dollar. Well, I also got U-Draw Studio for $1.25. So I paid $2.25 for a U-Draw tablet. And I forgot about this, but inside of this box was actually a manual for Dude's Big Adventure, which I don't own, but you know me, now if I ever find a copy that doesn't have a manual and it's cheap, I'm gonna buy it and put them together. So one of the cool things I actually did do while I was at GDC was I interviewed Limited Run Games about their new Carbon engine, which is a piece of software that they're using basically to bring retro games to basically every modern platform. And one of the first games they used this engine on was Shantae, the original Game Boy Color version. So they actually made physical Game Boy Color cartridges of Shantae that you could play in your original Game Boy, but they also then ported it to the eShop. It's probably on PlayStation Network as well, But then they made a physical release of it. And this version that I'm holding here in my hands, well, not the cartridge thing, but the outer box, that is basically like a special edition that's like the Game Boy Color box, but big. And they're selling this as a special edition at PAX East, and I think also at their grand opening of their retail store. But they gave it to me as a gift at the show, and that was really kind of them. I probably never will own the original Game Boy Color version. Maybe the limited run one someday, but I'm not. Regular Shantae is never happening. And this manual is so cool too, because it's basically like the Game Boy Color style manual. I don't know how close it compares to the original one, but it still has like all of the Switch information in there instead, and Switch controls. And I thought that was a neat little detail too. They also sent me home with this limited run games collection book, or the complete run rather. So basically this is everything limited run games published from 2015 to 2016. And I believe it's written by Jeremy Parrish, who works for Limited Run Games now, but is also mostly known for the Retronauts podcast. And this first run, basically like year one of limited run games, if you want to call it that, mostly covers PlayStation 4 and PlayStation Vita stuff. So there was a bit of Nintendo to find inside this book, but not a lot. And so basically what you'll find in here are a few interviews from the like creators of limited run games. From what I could tell, there was artwork, there were like disc templates, there were concept art, there was screenshots of the games that they covered, and basically just like, it's just a cool book that kind of commemorates that year of limited run games. Oh, and this is another box of things that I ordered like almost a year ago, maybe longer than that. I can't remember exactly, but this came from the Square Enix store. And if you happen to know me and this one particular series that I really like a lot that Square Enix published, not Kingdom Hearts. I mean, I like Final Fantasy. Yes, I do have a Final Fantasy tattoo, but this is actually from a more niche series that I was really pleased that they made some merchandise for. This first thing is a plushie of Neku from The World Ends With You. Now, this version was actually made for the anime, so The World Ends With You animation, which I think the anime's fine. It doesn't really do anything to excite me, I guess, or even just like a longtime fan or anyone new. But the cool thing is at least this anime gave us a lot of The World Ends With You merchandise. And I already have one of the other Square Enix figures, so I thought like this would just be a cool addition. I love how like mad he looks, even though he's just this little chibi plush toy. Fun fact, I had plans to cosplay as Neku back in the day, and then I never did because I don't sew. And then the other thing I got, which I almost bought the entire set because there's figures of, I think, most of the main cast of The World Ends With You, but the one that mattered to me the most, because I feel like we never see merchandise of her, is Rhyme. Now, if you've never played The World Ends With You, or you haven't watched the anime, I won't tell you why Rhyme is important, but she is a lovely character, and she had a huge impact on me back when I was a kid when I played this game. So it was really cool to see just an actual piece of official merchandise with her. And this figure wasn't even that expensive. I think I paid $30 for it, which in the realm of figures, like, usually can get some pretty bad stuff for $30. But this was made fairly well. Like, I really enjoyed like the paint. It's painted very nicely. It's not sloppy. Her eyes look good. There is one slight problem that I do have with it, and that's the fact that she doesn't really seem to want to, oh God, that hurt to watch. She doesn't really want to stay in her base very well. I tried to kind of play around with it and see if I could like purposefully get her to fall off of it again while she was sitting stationary. And I don't know, I just think maybe I just got like one that's a little on the fritz and doesn't want to stay, you know? But it's not the worst. It's not the worst, but I wish I didn't have to worry about her staying in place. I did just turn around and looked at my table over there where I unboxed everything, and she's still staying. So I guess maybe I don't have to worry about it. But just if you buy one of these, just make sure you put your figures in their feet stands properly, because yeah, look what's happening. I'm just making a fool of myself. And then I stared at it for about 2 minutes to see if she was going to fall. And spoiler alert, she didn't. Yay! I also bought a few games from GameStop because they were having a sale where it was a buy two, get one free on brand new games. And I feel like GameStop, like over the years, from what I've paid attention to their deals, they don't often run those kinds of sales on new games. So, and there were a few games that have released recently that are kind of niche, and like I've been waiting to buy them at a good price, but like, when am I ever going to find a pre-owned copy of such and such game? So I ended up picking up Grease. I think that's how you pronounce it. Gris. My partner loves this game, and she's had it digitally on her Switch for a long time, but I've been meaning to play it, but I just haven't done it yet. But now I have no excuse, because now I have my own version. The sad thing, though, with ordering games from GameStop's website is from time to time, if you're ordering really weird stuff, there's a possibility that they might ship from an individual store to you instead, which means, like, for me, this copy of Grease that I bought was already opened. It's still like technically a new copy that hasn't been played by a customer or anything, but it was opened up to be put on display in the store, so that way nobody would steal the game. GameStop calls these gutted games. I also bought Marsupilami, which is like based on a cartoon, a modern day cartoon, but that cartoon is based on a classic cartoon. And this game supposedly plays like Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, or the Donkey Kong Country Returns and the Tropical Freeze series. So I'm really excited to give this a go because it looks beautiful. And I just haven't heard anybody really talking about this game. And coincidentally, I actually have Bonkers, which is a TV show platformer playing in the background. That was an accident. And then this was so nice. This was such a sweet gesture. So you may remember in the last video, I talked about how I picked up a empty box for Persona Q. I have the digital manual slip in there. And I also had this like outer box already for it, but I had no game. But that's what I love to do, is try to find loose cartridges to pair up with them. And this guy Casey that I've met through another friend, he reached out to me actually after watching that last video that I did, and was like, "Hey man, I have a loose copy of Persona Q that I would just give you." And I was like, "Well, dude, I feel so bad. You don't have to do that. You know, like that. I don't want to just take this from you, like, you know." And he was so insistent on giving it to me, and it was such a nice thing. It's so selfless of him to do that. And I just cannot thank you enough, Casey. Seriously, I will give it the best home, and someday I will remember that you gave this to me. I mean, I remember right now, but I will remember this, and I will gift this game to somebody else who also really wants to play it someday. So thank you, man, for doing that. It was just so sweet and so kind of you, and you're the best. Then I also have another big press kit box. This one I was forewarned about. I knew about this coming as well, but I was told that I was going to be getting 2 boxes because I guess they were just splitting up the shipment. But I ended up getting 1 instead, which is totally cool. No complaints. Just filling in the viewer on what I knew. But beyond that, I didn't know anything else about this package besides the fact that it is related to Rune Factory 5. And I was completely blown away by how much cool stuff was actually in here, especially the fact that there was a physical copy of Rune Factory 5, the Earthmate special edition of the game, which was super cool. I've been wanting to try the Rune Factory series again for a while. I played Rune Factory 3 on DS. This was probably like over 10 years ago, and I loved it. But so inside this box, there was a little slip kind of detailing some of the embargo details, and then also what was actually in the box here. But then there's also a pair of socks. Now, I can't tell if these are like actual Rune Factory custom socks, or if these were just thrown in the box because they look like they belong with Rune Factory or not. Someone let me know if you could find these socks anywhere on the internet. I would be very curious to know. But they're super cute anyways. I'm definitely going to wear them. Like, gray is my favorite color of sock. And this also came with what at first I thought was like a rechargeable battery pack. I'm pretty sure is actually like a wireless charging dock for a phone. And I'm a grandpa and I have an iPhone 7 still, but I'm actually looking to upgrade to a new phone soon. So this is super helpful for my desk. Like perfect timing. I'm literally getting a new phone this week or next week. Now, these I were a little worried about because this box has been sitting in my room for 3 weeks now, maybe. These are cookies, Rune Factory 5 cookies. There's one of a little sheep, and then there's one of the logo. Of course, I couldn't eat the sheep, so I ate the logo instead. And it wasn't bad. It was a cookie. I think there is potential that it's been sitting around too long. But I'm definitely glad I didn't keep them sealed forever and ever. That would be bad. But probably the most unique and I would argue useful thing in this whole collector's edition is a Nintendo Switch carrying case that's themed around Rune Factory. So it actually has like a big pouch for the Switch to fit in, and then another pouch as well that you can fit accessories in. There were like 18 different game card slots, or maybe 12, which I'm definitely not going to keep that many games in here in case, I don't know, I would just worry that I would lose it and that my Switch life would be over. But now let's take a look at the Earthmate edition of Rune Factory 5, which honestly is also super cool. They've packed so many goodies into this, and the box has this like really nice like shiny shimmer to it. I swear, Marvelous has some of the coolest collector's editions out there. They just put a lot of attention to detail into their editions. Even this like art book has a slip cover, and it has a really nice finish, and it has concept art and characters and some unused like art that maybe they used for promotional materials. It's really, really nice. Very well done. And if you're a North American collector or just a North American Switch gamer, you'll know how Europe gets all of the cool steelbooks. And I've no hate to Europe. I'm very thankful that you all get them. But finally, North America got a cool Switch steelbook case with Rune Factory 5. And it even says Nintendo on the inside, and it's made by the Steelbook Company. It's official, it's legit, and it looks good. And it says Rune Factory 5 on the spine. I'm so thankful. It's a great collector's piece. And it has a manual. It has a manual. And this special edition also came with a sound selection from the game as well, which was really nice too. Now, before we move on to Scott Pilgrim, let me take one more bite of that cookie. Hold on, where is it? Yep. This is not too bad on the second try. So before the year 2021, this little piece of cardboard down here was the closest thing I ever thought we would get to a physical edition of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. Now, I know one might argue that, well, a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360 with the game downloaded is the closest thing that we'd get to a physical copy of the game. But as far as something to put on the shelf, something to remember the game by that has nothing to do with the system, this was it. I got this when I was still working at GameStop. This was just like not a pre-order card, but like a download card. Somebody would take this off the shelf and they would take it up to the register and we would scan it, and then you could download, or it would print off a code for the game. So then somebody could spend $10 and get the game just right then and there, instead of having to buy like a full $20 or $50 like point card. Instead, you could just buy the download code for the game. And I think Target still does this with like Switch games, and GameStop still might do it too, but Target definitely does. But then finally, limited run games got Ubisoft, or someone convinced Ubisoft to finally re-release this game, and that allowed limited run games to make a physical version of the game, which I owned the Best Buy version, which has like a different cover. But then finally, my box with the big honkin' collector's edition finally showed up. Oh no, though. All that's in the box is one copy of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the Game Complete Edition. Just one. All right, I guess that's it. The unboxing's up. Ha ha ha, just kidding. Who do you think I am? I also got a PlayStation 4 copy of the game. Moving on. Oh, there was a little collectible trading card in the bottom of the box, which is actually, I think this is artwork from the game of Ramona and Scott smooching. But this actually looks hand-drawn. It doesn't look like pixelated like in the game. So maybe this is new art. I don't know. All right, now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. I've been waiting way too long for this. I got some more Scott Pilgrim trading cards. I think I got one. I think they sent me one trading card for each of the games that I bought, since I bought technically three versions of the game. And I got a duplicate, so I guess someone's going to have to trade me at some point, maybe for that other Bug Fables card that I don't have. I also got these Scott Pilgrim keychains that were, I believe, sketched by Brian Lee O'Malley, the creator of Scott Pilgrim. And they're actually in the style of Sonic Adventure, of Sonic and Amy, of like the pose from Sonic from the cover. And I think Amy's art, I don't remember what Amy's art looks like. Am I making that up now? No, yeah. Amy definitely has a hammer. I'm not crazy. But then I also bought this little set of trading cards too, which is different than the one that I got here. But this set basically features it has one card for every character that's playable in the game, I believe. And the background's holographic, kind of like the game would almost be. It was really cool that they did this little bit as well. Okay, finally, no jokes, no breaks. Here is the actual Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, the collector's edition on Switch by Limited Run Games, blah, 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 blah. Just open it, Xeon. What are you doing? So this is actually way heavier and much nicer quality than I was expecting. When they said that it was going to be kind of this like roadie case, I was kind of, I guess, concerned about like how high quality this would really be. There were some minor scuffs on the buckles, but like, it's fine. It's a band thing. Like, no band's gear is ever like perfect anyway, so I don't care. Here I was trying to be cool and do like a Pulp Fiction thing where like make the case glow and stuff, but I was like, no, just show the people the case, Xeon. I'll actually go ahead and take some new videos so you can see, because it plays music. It's cool. So So this reminds me a lot of like a Hallmark trading card where all of the characters are made of paper and it opens up and, you know, the lights flash and it plays music. It plays Another Winter from Anamanaguchi, and it's really precious. I like it a lot. And it actually, this is just a lid. You lift this up and then all of the rest of the collector's edition stuff is underneath it. So there's a ton of stuff to show off in this box, so I'm going to try to go by it quick. Obviously, silica jelly packets go straight in the trash. Never eat those, no joke, they're bad. But then we have this drumstick set, which at first I got a little worried because the first one has Scott on it, like playing his guitar and like all of his different like animations as his different frames. And then the second stick actually has Kim on it, who is the drummer in their band Sex Bomb. So I'm very glad Kim has representation on the sticks. It wouldn't make sense otherwise. Also, I can't actually drum, I'm just a faker. And this piece was probably the thing I was the most excited about because I completely forgot about this. But what it is basically a strategy guide that, if you remember the developer, the company Prima Games from back in the day, they used to very oftentimes, along with like Brady Games and Piggyback, they would make strategy guides for a number of different games. They were one of the most popular people in the business making guides. And they worked on this along with limited run games. There's also a few interviews, or there's an interview in here with Brian Lee O'Malley, the creator of Scott Pilgrim, and I think there might be another interview in here too. I can't remember offhand, but there's tips and tricks. You know, it's a full strategy guide. There's a lot of really cool stuff to look at in this book. Okay, so there's also a sticker sheet in here which features the 7 evil X's. There's also some just like in-game enemies. There's also a little advertisement in here that talks about a digital Scott Pilgrim versus the World game strategy guide through Prima's website, and it says that it's like an enhanced guide. So what I'm assuming that means is that maybe the digital guide has some like flashy artwork or videos that become like a companion for the strategy guide. There's also a lapel pin in here, which is the overworld version of Scott from the overworld map of the game. There's some more trading cards in here. These ones are sadly not holographic like the other ones are, but they do feature the 7 evil X's, so it kind of rounds out the set of cards, which is nice. And there's also a set of Sex Bomb guitar picks in here too. Oh, and I completely forgot about this until now that I'm watching it again. There is actually a real functional cassette of the Scott Pilgrim game soundtrack composed by Anamanaguchi. I don't own another single real functioning cassette in this entire house. I don't have a single one, but I'm glad that my first one that I've owned in years is an Anamanaguchi one. So someday when I get the chance to listen to a cassette, I'll be ready. And just for anyone who's curious, there is nothing underneath the box, but I do think it's really cool that there's some foam actually inside that plastic tray there that kind of prevents it from cracking and keeps everything safe. But then the last thing, the big other thing for me is this is basically like a limited edition of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I guess it's like they did like 3 different tiers. They released the game physically, then they released this limited edition that I'm holding in my hands, and then they released the KO edition, or I guess I don't remember exactly what it's called, but this big one that has this like duffel or this case, this road case, you know. But one of my favorite parts about this is the fact that they featured that Ramona artwork from the keychain actually on this slipcover here as well. And then when you slide it out, there's the artwork from one of the other trading cards that I showed off earlier. And the cool thing with this case is it's not a Sega Genesis case, it's not a Neo Geo case either. It's kind of in between, but it's still like that same kind of hard plastic case, which features the game on the inside and some extra other goodies. And the cool thing that I didn't realize either is, so inside of this is the Scott Pilgrim the game on Switch, but with the Sonic Adventure Brian Lee O'Malley style artwork. And so I wanted to crack that open because I wanted to have it open. I want to be able to, you know, play it physically and read the manual and stuff. But I wanted to see what the artwork was like on the inside. And what I found out was that the artwork was reversible. So regardless of which version you got of the Scott Pilgrim game, you actually have both cover arts, which is really nice. The manual for this game is really cute too. It's smaller than your standard Super Nintendo manual, but it's definitely laid out like one. And I like that. You also get a little like fake commemorative Leo's Place Clash of Demon Head show ticket as well. That's kind of cute. And then there's also a physical CD of the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack for the game, at least. And the weird thing with this is I actually remember there was like a loot crate or something at one point. I never got one, but I think it actually contained a soundtrack that looked almost identical to this. And this version actually doesn't have limited run games logo. It doesn't have like a 2021 or 22 like copyright date on it, nothing on it. So I'm very curious if this is the same exact version that went out with Loot Crate a long time ago. And I'm not complaining. I'm happy to just have one, but I'm curious to find out. And then it also came with a sticker sheet with some of the main characters. And then we also have a poster of the overworld map, which is very reminiscent of like Super Mario, probably more Super Mario World, but it also reminds me a bit of Super Mario 3 as well. Oh, and I was also curious because I thought that that Ramona artwork that's on the slipcover got used for something else, and it turns out, yes, it did. It also is a flip cover for this limited edition version of the Scott Pilgrim game. And I love that even like the back art is completely different than the flip side version. So like the attention to detail in this entire package is just incredible. Like, goodness gracious. And I think that's about everything. I have been waiting to open this stuff for a month, but I've been waiting for a lot of it for a lot longer. And I'm really glad that I got to do it on camera here with you, even though that, you know, I ended up messing up my audio and I had to narrate this all instead. Thanks for just like hanging out. Thanks for watching it, especially if you made it to the end here. Thanks for bearing with my commentary of an unboxing video where you could still see me on screen talking, not matching up. It's very unprofessional of me to have done this in this way, but I like an unboxing. I don't know. I couldn't like unbox everything again. It just wasn't going to work. And so I'm really glad my buddy Zach talked me down from scrapping it and told me to just narrate this. So thank you, Zach, for giving me that idea. And also thank you again for everybody who made it to the end. It was a lot of fun to open all this stuff up, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something useful here. Maybe you were on the fence about buying one of these items, or you just maybe it was cool to learn more about the things that I enjoy. Maybe you're going to go play something that I showed off today. I'm not sure. But the one thing that I do hope you do is that if you do have interest in any of those things, if you felt anything from watching this video, please let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what the thing was that you thought was the coolest in this big selection of stuff that I got. Let me know if you enjoy seeing more of these videos whenever I gather more stuff like this. Because if you do enjoy it, I will keep hoarding things in a pile, and I will show you them every few months, even though it hurts my soul to not open up the boxes of goodies that I get. And if you really do enjoy these videos, another way that you can help the channel and help yourself stay informed is by making sure that you're actually subscribed to the channel. Go ahead, grab that subscribe button and use it to help me clean up this room, because it's a mess now and I need all the help I can get. But legit, I want to keep making these videos, and if you keep watching them, I will get to keep making them. So thank you. Legitimately, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.